Over the past few years, YouTube has seen a rise in commentary creators building large and loyal audiences with daily updates, often positioning themselves as truth-tellers and independent watchdogs or journalists compared to mainstream media. And one of those creators is Andy Signore.
I'm not surprised anymore. We live in a world where Wet Ass Pussy is a #1 song, and, you know, Megan Thee Stallion shaking her butt next to Kamala Harris. I mean, like, we are at a place where it's just the new normal.
So do you think you could have gotten laid with any of these girls?
Yeah.
Nah, good for you, man. So did you ever consider going back without the camera? Or does the camera helps, right?
Oh yeah, the camera, they see that, and then the sign also helps too. Like, hey, look at this guy making a jackass of himself.
They're like, oh, he might be some big YouTube star. I'm going to go kiss him on camera. It's just so weird what people do.
I believe Michael Jackson is innocent. I do. I followed the evidence. There is no evidence. It was always about the money. It was always about the money. I think these two are financially motivated, and I think you are. Steph, there may be a huge payday. There may be a huge payday here. Whatever. What does that amount to us? Okay, I give it to charity, whatever. They still get to misinterpret what I'm doing here. I get to monetize while on vacation now. Thanks to you, Blake, bringing this in and defaming me. We will have an official response from our lawyer on the docket this week, so stay tuned. You are allowed to push back. Go down the rabbit hole and do some actual homework on this case.
I just want to clarify that when Andy offered me $1,000 to fly to Florida to have sex with him while his wife was out of town visiting her family, that's sex trafficking.
It has to be said. Anybody that listens to Andy Signore of Popcorn Plant, you know, that you all know, don't listen to him. He's a bad person. Bye.
Andy Signore is a YouTuber, and like many others on here, he makes content blending opinion, speculation, and commentary. He uses celebrity drama, legal and true crime cases, and internet controversies as the subject matter for his channel Popcorn Planet, which he's built up to nearly 1 million subscribers. He tells his viewers he's pushing back against mainstream narratives and the corrupt, powerful elite, giving them the real story, claiming he's an investigative reporter. But how did his platform get so big when his own start on YouTube was so controversial? People have been speaking out against him for nearly 10 years, but somehow his audience keeps growing. He is another content creator who constantly shows up at the top of the algorithm. He was featured on the Netflix Johnny Depp documentary, and more recently Leaving Neverland 2, about Michael Jackson and his alleged child abuse, something he's claimed falsely there is no evidence of. And when someone's this popular online, it can have a real impact on public opinion. We're going to look at what's been documented, what's been alleged, and what's been challenged. As his profile and how much money he makes continues to grow, the pushback against him gets smaller. There are serious questions about his fundraisers, past allegations about his sexual misconduct, how he exploits his mods, his viewers, and the victims he uses as subject material, like Gabby Petito, Britney Spears, Meghan Markle, P. Diddy's victims, and of course Amber Heard. And just recently, he got himself involved in the legal proceedings he was making content about in the case of Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. He refused to hand over evidence that could have helped the case. He contested a subpoena, and a judge ruled that he was not a professional journalist. Actually, most of his content stories come directly from tabloids and outlets like TMZ. One of his former mods, Laura, or simply Belle, made a video saying that she was given a role on his headlines team where they would have to look at the headlines of the papers every day to tell him what to talk about. There was also an issue about whether his business was registered as a for-profit LLC or not. Part of Andy Signore's rise on YouTube is closely tied to how he has framed his past and how he was publicly defamed on social media and in the press, as people were speculating and not doing their research. The same guy that's built his whole platform on doing exactly that. His banner shows a picture of him eating popcorn. In his older content and public statements, he's described himself as someone that's had to face serious allegations that he has characterized as false or misleading.
If you don't know what's been happening over these last few weeks, Andy Signore was fired almost 3 weeks ago after multiple women came forward on social media with allegations of sexual harassment and abuse. This was news that was a shock to all of us. Andy was, for I think everyone here, not just our boss, but someone that we counted as a friend. And we found out overnight that he was not the person that we knew or that we thought he was.
It's more than likely that anyone that comes across his videos wouldn't know. In 2017, just as the Me Too movement kicked off and Harvey Weinstein was finally outed, Andy Signore, who was married with a kid, worked for a company called Screen Junkies that was owned by another company called Defy Media.
My name is Andy Signore. I'm a digital creator with numerous awards and over 1 billion views, thanks to many popular creations I made, including Screen Junkies, Honest Trailers, Man at Arms, and more. On October 6th, 2017, one day after Ashley Judd's New York Times article started the Me Too movement, I was literally the second person to be publicly accused of sexual misconduct.
A young woman named April O'Donnell, who'd been a fan of Screen Junkies as a teenager and was now working there as was her boyfriend, posted on social media. Over the past 2 months, I've been talking with Screen Junkies' HR department after Andy Signore tried to SA me on multiple occasions. I did what I believed to be the right thing and trusted the company to do something, considering 2 other women also came forward with me. The previous day, on October 5th, 2017, another woman who worked at Screen Junkies, Emma Bowers, posted, "In light of recent events with Harvey Weinstein, now is a good time to remind everyone I was sexually harassed by Andy Signore, the creator of Screen Junkies, when I was interning, aka working for Copy Credit, on some viral videos for him, and he came across some pin-up photos I had done. He messaged me to say how hot I was and tried to play it off as silly, lol, jacking it to you in your undies. And when I tried to brush it off, he offered me to come over so he could do it in person. I will never forget his exact words. You can read a book for all I care. You need to understand this guy was my boss." Both these posts are still online nearly 10 years later, as is the DM about jacking off, sent by her married older boss when she was an intern. April's post continued, "The HR company continued to not take me seriously and only had Andy's interests in mind. He threatened my boyfriend's job security, saying he would fire him if I told anyone. This has been the hardest time of my life, but I'm coming forward in the hopes that no other women will have to be subject to this kind of treatment. He took out sex toys and tried to force them in me, took pictures of me without my permission, and promised a position at Screen Junkies for sexual favours. I hope this encourages more women to come forward because I believe you, April." There's also an email from April to Andy in 2016 where she says, "I was afraid to turn you down for anything and kept making excuses for you not to do anything to me. It honestly makes me sick to think you were able to spend Defy's money for personal benefit to try and get with me at the hotel in Hollywood. Also forcing yourself on me there. The phone calls, texts, emails, gifts, mail all needs to stop. If you try and contact me again, I'll take actions further." There were more statements from other women claiming similar experiences, who'd had interactions with him because of Screen Junkies, that he'd offered them jobs in return for sexual favours, and that HR had done little or nothing about it. There were also men that came forward who cited examples of Andy's bullying. Most of the girls he made advances to had boyfriends that worked for him. April was a teenager when Andy claims they had a consensual affair. A while later, she made a tweet that Andy reposted saying, "I was a teenager. Is this you, Andy Signore, talking about underage girls 6 months ago in a video called I Can't Stay Silent About This Anymore?"
BJ, we can't really even say what we want to talk about in this video, if we're being honest. Think of the worst type of, activity you could do with, a person not of age. Let's call it that, okay?
Well, after being fired, Andy staged a bit of a comeback. he lawyered up and sued Defy Media for breach of contract and negligent infliction of emotional distress. He also claimed that Defy fostered a culture of profanity and obscenity. And so after Andy received an undisclosed settlement, he came back online to tell his side of the story.
I had to get back online, and I had to post this statement. This was my first chance to come back publicly to deny the awful allegations and to begin to tell the truth.
That narrative of being wrongly accused was what he used to rebuild his brand, and became an essential part of how viewers first encountered him. So in 2019, he made a video portraying himself as a victim of false allegations and how this was a Me Too misstep. And I was wondering how this video went viral, because this was the first video on Andy's Popcorn Planet channel to blow up.
I never once claimed Andy harassed me. I never said I was a victim. In sharing those emails, my intention was to strengthen April and Emma's allegations. These women came forward to support April, even admitting that their own experiences with me were not that big of a deal. This didn't stop regular people from crafting psychological profiles on me, or news outlets irresponsibly summing it all up to make a far more incriminating read. That's the problem with Twitter mobs and social media justice. Malicious intent can be implied by one or two people who may not be telling the truth, but followers don't do diligent research, and instead merely share the headline of the seemingly justifiable action. And given justifiably how triggered many were by the creation of the Me Too movement, my entire fan base, including my own colleagues, rallied together for a seemingly just cause, to stand with April and demand my termination.
The fact is, April was one of many women who made complaints against him, some anonymously. But in the video and the lawsuit, which I found online, he focused on April and how she'd sent him saucy text, which made it seem like they were in some kind of a relationship after meeting him at a convention, and then he asked her to fly to LA. And this is exactly what happened to a girl called Jade years later who was a viewer of his channel. He asked her repeatedly and offered her money to fly to Florida or Vegas for a convention, said that she could meet his friends who would help her with an OnlyFans career, something that he'd talked her into because she was a new mum and needed a job. But back to the video and why I think it got so popular. Another content creator called The Quartering made a video in support of Andy Signore the day after Andy posted his. He has 2 million subscribers. I'm not sure how many he had at the time, but the video's called The Truth Revealed About Honest Trailer's Andy Signore's Takedown, and the thumbnail reads, "Her shocking lies exposed, sick." He then pinned a comment which says, "This whole thing is disgusting. Nobody is apologizing for painting this man as a racist." Is that what they did? Share this everywhere. Like, comment and share. Enough of us. Share this video on every platform. We can undo some of the horrible ish that happened to this man. That video got over 600,000 views. The best way to go viral is to have someone with millions of subscribers post a comment like that.
That's the problem with Twitter mobs and social media justice. Malicious intent can be implied by one or two people who may not be telling the truth, but followers don't do diligent research, and instead merely share the headline of the seemingly justifiable action.
A few weeks later, Andy posted a video, live Q&A crossing 100,000 subscribers, with loads of super chats and comments like, "You my boy Andy, glad you're not a sex-crazed freak, God bless. I respect you so much. Good job at being so strong through all this." Anyway, as I do my research, when I looked at the lawsuit that Andy filed against Defy Media LLC, the first paragraph, the preliminary statement reads, "This case is the exemplar of a high-powered company witnessing an important paradigm-shifting movement, such as the #MeToo movement, and exploitatively using it as an excuse to rob its loyal employees and LLC members of their duly owed economic interests. Notwithstanding any private transgressions, Defendant defies media's response to the false allegations leveled against plaintiff Andy Signore has wrongly vilified and completely divested him, not only of his hard His argument was that sexual harassment was normal. He said that Defy Media LLC had long partaken in a path of objectifying and demoralizing people, especially women, for financial gain or personal entertainment, and implied that it was used to help achieve their membership number goals, and that when the cries of Me Too inevitably arrived at their door, the very first action they took was to take advantage of the movement in order to justify unlawfully denying him of his vested interests as an employee of his earned income. He had the cheek to say the case was about preserving the integrity and influence of the movement by ensuring that powerful organizations are not permitted to exploit them for financial gain. It was only a few weeks later he hosted his first live fundraiser to help us cancel culture, with a direct link to a Kickstarter project, Hugging the Cactus, which was meant to be a documentary and a podcast series, and had a full transcript of Andy's story. And that raised over $13,000 of a $10,000 goal. But what came next would secure his reinvention. His commentary as someone speaking from personal experience, and his framing as someone who'd been wronged, not in the wrong, making good money speculating on other people's presumed moral failings, would collide with one of the biggest media events on the internet, the defamation case of Johnny Depp against Amber Heard.
But this clip, I thought, might inspire some of you. I don't know how else to show you how dark it got, unless I show you me in that period. This was me right before I tweeted that statement. And I promise you, I was terrified. This isn't fake. This wasn't me acting. This was me in the most raw form I can present to you. It's very vulnerable to share this with you, but I hope it will inspire you to see what I've built now, to see me up now, to see me get back up, but to know this is where I came from.
So I just finished the statement that I'm putting out that I've been working on, feels like for months, but realistically I've been working on for about a few days. And part of me doesn't even want to put a statement out because people have made their minds up about me. I can't change. I'm a monster. I'm vile. I'm gross. They haven't lived my last 10 months. They don't know what that's like. They don't know how much pain and loss I've had and how much remorse and regret I have based off of stupid interactions I had with women that I never knew were offended at the time. They never expressed that until now.
Other than the email she sent him at the time in 2016, which said, "Andy, the things you have sent me since the convention in Chicago has been so unacceptable and horrible to think about." And the reason she went along with it was because she was concerned for her safety after what he said at the hotel. It was honestly at the point I was afraid to turn you down for anything. If followers did diligent research, there's a selfie she posted meeting him at the convention with Dan Murrell. She's just a kid at a convention. And then Andy posted their text messages to show they were in a relationship. And it's him texting her, "Hey, it's Andy. This is easier. Just please don't share or mention we're texting." She replies, "Sweet, and honestly, I'm not that way. Just a fun opportunity, smiley face." Andy, "Not what way, lol?" April replies, "Not that way as in being a weird groupie who posts conversation screenshots on the internet, lol." Andy replies, "So you're discreet weird groupie, smiley face."
And I champion this movement so much. This movement is so important, and I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned to be a better person for my family, for my son. But it's such a mean culture. And yes, these poor women that I clearly made uncomfortable. But they can't see the other side. And some will make fun of me right now for this crying confessional of you, Andy, you're not a victim. But we're all human. I refuse to ever let myself see someone drowning, even if they're a criminal, not extending a hand to make sure they're okay, that they're seeking help, that they can have a hug without judgment. We're all human beings. And it's so hard to post this because it's just gonna unearth it all, and I finally am in a happier, healthier place. But I have to stand up against this. Yes, I did wrongs. I can't legally say that yet. I wish to God I could apologize to some of these people. But I have to stand my ground on this. What April did was so wrong. I don't care if she had regrets. She knew what she was doing. She knew I was married. She knew the affair we had. She made those decisions, and the way she vilified me and pounded at me, I can't accept it. I refuse to go down in history as a potential rapist. I still am getting "fuck you, you fat fucking rapist" texts and emails all day. I can't stomach it. I'm sick of it. I keep getting these texts all day. I'm gonna defend myself. I can't stop that. I can't let this pit in my stomach and the guilt and the shame that I've been living in for months overcome the ability to fight. And could more women come out and say, oh, he was creepy and flirted with me? Absolutely. They sure could. But nothing criminal. I've done nothing criminal. Have I been a creep? Absolutely. Do I regret it? Absolutely. No one on Twitter, no fucking hate, nothing will ever hurt me the way it hurts that I lost time with my kid. And for those who are like, well, why would you do that? I don't know. It's something personal I'm working on in therapy and help, and I'm not gonna let these people get to me or tell me that I can't change and that I can't be a better person. We have to let people change. We have to offer forgiveness. We have to offer help. We can't be so quick to kick someone when their house is burning down. Even if they lit the match. The true victim is my ex-wife and my son and my family and my parents, all of them, for having to read this and deal with this. And living with that is a pain that'll never go away. It'll never go away, and that is my pound of flesh, in addition to everything else I lost. But today is a day I'm taking a chance to publicly defend myself so I can try and regain my humanity again.
How much money would you give somebody if they actually had a picture of you jerking off?
And a picture or a video?
A video. A video of you jerking a tranny porn. You could hear the tranny foot in the background. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were mocked by two YouTubers who traveled to the town with play cards to recreate South Park's worldwide privacy tour protest. I guess that's fair. We were mocking them. I'm not going to deny that. It was a joke. It was a mock. Andy Signore and Steph the Alta Nerd. We got you in Newsweek, Steph. You love that? There it is.
I know. I love it.
Even just looking through at the thumbnails on Andy Signore's Popcorn Planet channel, it's hard to find one that isn't part of a smear campaign or him telling on himself and increasing reliance on AI-generated imagery. But as I've already explained, the algorithm rewards creators that put out content such as his. During the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial period, Andy Signore produced content comparing April O'Donnell, the teenager who asked him to leave her alone after probably regretting getting involved with him, to Amber Heard. While technically he told his followers to leave her alone, he repeatedly tagged her in posts knowing she'd still be attacked anyway. Oh, and apparently her father had recently passed away. He used it to frame his coverage of the case through themes of false allegations and media bias, as he blended his own narrative with the story he was telling. His coverage aligned with a wider wave of pro-Depp commentary online, which was being invested in by pro-MAGA, right right-wing lobbying media groups like the Daily Wire, who, according to Vice magazine, were spending thousands of dollars buying Facebook ads to promote their content covering the case. When an NBC journalist, Kat Tembudge, who's more on the left-wing side of politics, brought up his past and pointed out how he was using it to massively increase his audience, he again said he was being attacked and called it a hit piece. At this point, the hatred for Amber Heard was so intense, his supporters turned their hatred to Kat Tembudge for supporting Amber Heard and calling her biased, while his audience seemed oblivious to his hypocrisy and fanboy status towards Johnny Depp. Meanwhile, they're funding a new studio and trip to Vegas for him to meet him, and don't seem to have a problem with his continual exploitation of people's personal tragedy and trauma, regardless of whether they're a celebrity or not, for financial gain. The whole trial became a media circus, dehumanizing Amber Heard's experience as a victim of domestic violence.
On my side of the bed was human fecal matter,
which to this day many people believe she lied about. The only way to justify supporting someone accused of domestic violence or violence against women or girls is to say she was lying and it's a smear campaign, which is what the MAGA supporters believed in relation to allegations against Donald Trump.
And they'll believe any little thing they find. They won't question it. They won't think about it. And I gotta be honest, I'm out. I saw Blue Beetle last night in the theater. As I'm in between this, I'm trying to do a lot of my other work for my channels. I gotta keep going, right? And Steph, I'm in the theater watching Blue Beetle, and one of the guys next to me is like, Andy, I saw you on Netflix. And I'm getting a lot of this now too, Steph. And I'm like, oh yeah, hey, thanks. And he's like, I didn't know you were in cahoots like that with Johnny. That's what this guy said. Complete, like, sorry, it's like someone I've seen at these critic screenings and I forget his name. I don't, but this guy completely says hello and congratulates me and is like, I didn't know you were in cahoots with Johnny. I have another friend who texts me, Andy, you're all over Netflix. Wow, I didn't know you and Johnny were doing that together. Good for you. This is the narrative that now this #1 show is putting out there, that I somehow was in cahoots with Johnny Depp.
As his channel grew, so did his reliance on his audience's financial support. Like many creators, Andy Signore raised money through live streams, memberships, and direct appeals tied to projects or ongoing coverage, including funding his own legal costs. But some viewers began to question how that funding was being presented. In part 2, we'll look at how he described his operation as similar to a non-profit or community-supported effort, when public records show his business is structured as an LLC, and he's clearly using the donations to fund his lifestyle and holidays. He uses much smaller channels than him to help spread his continual sub-stories, whilst laughing about how people will believe anything and not do any research.
We're here today to address a latest issue that's happened on social media. One of our YouTube partners and known allies of the Ravens flock, Popcorn Planet, a channel founded and hosted by Andy Signore, has not only been demonetized by YouTube, but had the entire channel shut down altogether.
I love what you're doing. I love this because the hardest part of all of this has been the friendship part. It's not anything that I've actually really talked about in depth because it's really not what the media is interested in.
Has he delivered on the pledges he made to his donors, like the multiple documentaries he's asked funding for? And he built his brand crying on camera saying we all needed to treat people like humans, when it focuses on alleged victims or individuals at the center of ongoing cases. Why is it appropriate for him to make thousands of dollars out of women he continues to harass and bully online, while calling them bullies and narcissists? He's apparently fundraising to go to New York and watch Blake Lively in the courtroom after he refused to hand over evidence. The judge said he's not a journalist, so why does he think it's appropriate to go to the courtroom? He's obviously using this as an opportunity to make more money when he could pay for it himself like everyone else in the world, and he continues to align himself with other abusers, like Sam Lutfi, who allegedly stalked Britney Spears, O.J. Simpson, and Marilyn Manson.
And I think Justin's excuse will be similar to Marilyn Manson, who I know is fighting really hard and a lot of false things about him. He was just exhausted. Like at a certain point, the battle becomes, and that's what I think some sides do, right? Drown you in lawsuits, expenses, and things.
And when will his victims finally receive their justice? Because yes, Andy, sending a video of yourself jacking off unsolicited is assault. You don't want to miss the next episode.